last year we were asking Joe Biden not to run for president again. And now we're asking Joe Biden to reconsider his decision to run for president again. And that's just, our critique is kind of the same as it was last year, which is to say, like, we think that he is a uniquely weak incumbent for all the reasons we were discussing earlier. He hasn't passed good policy for working Americans. He's done nothing to shore up his standing with the constituencies that help him get elected in the first place. And, in 2020, Biden was able to win because that was a referendum on Trump. People were tired of Trump being in office. Presidential elections are always referenda on the person who's in office at that moment. And people wanted Trump out of office. But now in 2024, it's going to be all about Joe Biden. What kind of job has he been doing? And when you look at polling, it's really, really bad for him. His approval rating is really low. He's now in a group of presidents, in terms of his approval rating, who have all been one-term presidents. So it's like, George H.W. Bush, Jimmy Carter. It's a group you don't want to be in, and that's where he is. And people don't approve of his handling of the economy. People don't approve of the way he's dealt with the negotiations recently. His, when they ask people, like, do you trust the president to steer the country in the right direction? More people than not say that they don't trust the president. They're all really bad indicators, and it's all headed for Joe Biden could lose. And his matchups, polling matchups versus Trump, versus DeSantis even, have him underwater. And, DeSantis is not, like, right now does not appear to be a very strong candidate at all. He's caught up in weirdo disputes with Disney World, which is probably just going to seem really, like, bizarre on the national stage when he starts running on that. But Biden still is not polling favorably against him in a number of polls. So we're really worried. This isn't like a campaign about beating up on Joe Biden. It's a campaign about saying, like, hey, it looks really, really bad. If you step aside now, there can be a normal Democratic Party primary process. We might actually get someone good in there who, is committed to, like, a progressive vision for the future, who can actually speak to some of the constituencies that, like, powered you to a win in 2020. But you have to step aside, because otherwise it's just going to be the media coverage will be all about Joe Biden. The media coverage will be all about the Republican primary. And, we're really worried about what's going to happen in 2024. So that's the campaign. If you want to, learn more about it, you can go to our website. You can sign our petition. It's at stepasidejoe.org. And you can read more about why we have this campaign going on.
Yeah, and it seems like, to me at least, it seems like this is the perfect campaign to actually unite the Democratic Party. Oddly enough, you have the moderate Democrats who really only care about winning. They don't really care about policy. They just want to win. Meanwhile, Joe Biden has terrible polling. He's going to lose to Donald Trump, most likely, if polling stays the same. He's been underwater for a long time. After the supposed big Democratic victories in the midterm, his polling didn't go up. So you have that going on. You have that he's just a bad candidate and he's going to lose, combined with his terrible policies, and he's not progressive and he's not pushing anything. So the left doesn't want him to run. Moderates should not want him to run because he cannot beat Donald Trump again. And to me, it just seems like, hey, this should be easy, minus the power structures in DC, including MSNBC and Democratic supporting media that keep telling us that Joe Biden is the only candidate who can beat Donald Trump because he's the only one who's already done it. Not that other Democrats couldn't. They don't mention could have as well, but they don't mention that. So it just seems like if we could get anyone on board with us, it seems so obvious. And it's just still so shocking to me that this late in the process, a month and a half, 2 months after Biden's already announced, you still just don't have very much energy telling him that it's a bad idea when all the polls say it's a bad idea. And I don't know what's going to change to change that.
Yeah. And it's that argument is really weak, I think. Like, the past is not the present. Just because someone did something in the past doesn't mean they're going to do it again in the future. We're all NBA fans here on the call. Like, the Boston Celtics this year weren't the Boston Celtics from last year. Like, it was a different outcome. Sorry, Ricci, but, it's true. And like
Shameful.
that's just, I mean, that's true with all human endeavors. Like you can't just say past performance is an indicator of future success and like that's it, especially when we're talking about, a really, again, existential election, which they all are, because the Republican Party is like purely turned over to fascism at this point, is enthralled to this group of completely insane people. And unfortunately, we have to like keep our finger in the dam right now and keep those people from getting into office. But we need better candidates to be sure we're going to win those elections.